Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. And in today's video, we are going to be continuing and concluding Date Alive Flash in Time. What If Shido Was the Flash, Season 1, Part 4, the Season 1 finale. As always, if you're new to the channel or if you're a regular and you like what we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. As we now reach the conclusion of Season 1, so far I would like to say that this season is more of a setup season for everything that's to come going forward. Now, I haven't fully fleshed out where I'm going to go as far as the multiverse for this series. However, I do want to leave you guys with a bit of a teaser. That being that everything that can happen or will happen, you should try to keep your eye on the Naruto Green Lantern series and this one, since they will play the two major factors in what's to happen going forward. Also, stay tuned this weekend as I'm going to be doing a special titles trailer for everything that's going to be happening in 2023 and a little preview of what's coming in 2024, as we have a lot of new series and a lot of new stories that are going to be coming your way as we expand our hero world and universe. So stay tuned for that and everything else that we're going to be having on PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. As always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Shido watched as the girl that he had known as his sister, Kotori, transformed into a spirit of fire. Of course, Shido could not stay in this shock and awe for too long, as the battle only continued in much more ferocity. Kotori battled against Kurumi, Shido being unsure of where to go and how to step in. He knew he had to do something, he couldn't just stand there. His sister was showing a side of herself that he had never seen before. It seemed like all of his sisters now had secrets. First Mana being a killing spirit, and then there was Kotori actually being one. Of course, Shido wouldn't have too long to be lost in thought, as Kotori seemingly found herself on the back rope, and Kurumi was going in for the killing strike. However, Kotori would unleash her true power, filling Kurumi with a strong sense of fear. For a moment, she believed that she were going to die, even allowing for her other selves to be broken free of by Shido. He would use his speed to move her out of the way, trying his best to get in between the fire and the attack. Kurumi was surprised. She knew that she had been left dead to rights by Kotori, and in all likelihood this could have been her death. However, Shido, sticking true to his word, had gotten in between her and the line of fire. It couldn't be for real. What was with this Shido guy? Why was he going out of his way to try to help her, to try to save her, as it were? She couldn't possibly believe in his words, nor could she expect them to be true, because she had heard those words once before. She had once tried to believe in the good of people, and it only left her in the state that she was in. But that was a story for another day. Shido's main focus was on Kotori right now. She was losing control and she wasn't herself. The girl that he had known as his sister, the one whose family took him in, the one that he had been raised with and played with for all these years, that wasn't the same Kotori that he knew. And at the same time, he knew very well that whatever this was, there was more to it. In the last moment, Kotori would let off her flaming attack, Shido moving Kurumi out of the way in the insinuating explosion. Thankfully, with Shido's speed, he was able to move everyone who was on the rooftops out of the way to avoid any further damage. Once the smoke had cleared and the dust had settled, Kurumi was seemingly gone, and Kotori had reversed back to her normal state. Everyone would be taken to the infirmary to try to recover in any way that they could. For Mana, her damages were a lot more strenuous than might be expected, and she had to be taken to another facility, as well as Origami. As everyone else was back on Fraxinus, the members of Ratatasker would have to try to figure out the situation. While Shido was watching Kotori rest, he would be approached by Dr. Wells as he went beside him in his wheelchair. "How is she, Shido?" "She seems to be doing fine, Doctor, but there's no way to know what'll happen for now. The only thing we can do is try to wait and hopefully see how it progresses from here." "I see. You did a good job getting everyone off of that rooftop when you did, to avoid any further disaster." "I'm sorry, but Doctor..." "Yes, Shido? There's something I've been meaning to ask you now for a while. I hope I'm not prying or anything, but it goes without saying, I don't really know much about why you're here, why you've been working with my sister, and, well, why you've been helping me. Not that I don't appreciate it, I truly do, but still. So you want to know how I got involved in all of this?" "Well, Shido, it's a long and complicated story, but I guess the short answer is because I had a daughter, Shido. A daughter who had a similar condition to your sister. Unfortunately for me, I lost her, and I wasn't sure of how to cope, how to move on. Ratatasker, they gave me a call, and I figured I could just wallow in my own self-pity, or I could use my talents to do something good, to try to make a change. At least that's what I like to believe is what I'm doing, anyway. I can't really tell you what everything is and what's all going on everywhere at once. Truthfully, there are things about the spirits that we all wish to know and inquire. But for now, the only thing we can do is try to help them in any way that we could." "I see. So, your daughter, she was a lot like Kotori." "Yes. She was beautiful in every way. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a way to save her. It's something that's been with me ever since. However, I'm hoping it's not too late, that there's still some time. Try to rest, Shido. No point in stressing about every little thing. The only thing you can do is take life one step at a time. Although, looking at the state I'm in, I'm not really one to talk." As Dr. Wells left Shido to his own devices, he wondered what was the best decision, what he could do. Shido would go and try to visit Mana in the hospital. However, due to the private security that was watching over her at the time, until she was moved to the general ward, no one was to see her. In the meanwhile, Shido would speak with Origami, checking on her also. Origami, for the most part, was her normal self, much to Shido's delight. However, at the same time, there was also something else. Origami was inquiring about the spirit that had arrived, since she didn't really get a good look at it, the flaming spirit. Shido didn't want to give any more information than he already knew. The AST and Ratatasker were not on good terms, so there was no point in trying to add more fuel to that fire. However, Origami knew that something was off, that there was something that Shido simply wasn't telling her. In the meantime, there was the situation with Kotori and how to deal with it. Reine would tell Shido that the only thing that they could do was to seal away her powers. That was the best chance they were going to have at saving her. If they didn't, Kotori's power would become way too overwhelming for her and would ultimately end up destroying her body in the process. This meant that they were going to have to go on a date. It would be a group adventure with Shido, Kotori, Yoshino, Yoshinan, and Toka. They would all go to an amusement park and a water park combined. Of course, Kotori knew the real reason for them going, but at the same time, she appreciated the gesture and she wanted to spend time with Shido. In the meanwhile, Origami would be given information. The spirit she was looking for in particular was the known as Ifrit, the flaming spirit, the one of whom killed her parents 5 years ago. Once more on the issue had been at hand, and she was able to see photos from the battle. She saw the identity of Ifrit. It was none other than Kotori Itsuka. This meant now that she had a face for her ire, and she knew exactly who she was going to take on. Without authorization from the AST, Origami would take the specially made battle suit known as White Licorice. It was a suit capable of major destructive power. It was said it could kill a spirit in one shot, and Origami was going to put it to the test. In the midst of their date, Shido, finding some alone time with Kotori, would try to speak to her about the incident from 5 years ago, mainly because for both of them, they remembered things very differently. Shido remembered the incident in the attack. He remembered Kotori being there, and he remembered Ifrit, but Kotori was not the one responsible for the attack. It was the spirit. Somehow, after the incident, Ifrit sealed itself inside of Kotori, and the two of them had basically become one. It meant that Kotori was innocent, however, the guilty one at hand was stuck inside of her. This left a conundrum. To punish Ifrit, should Kotori be punished as well? Of course, under normal circumstances, many would say no. However, Origami did not see it that way. As Origami would look to begin her assault, the first thing she needed to do was make sure that Shido would stay out of it. Creating a dome force field and catching Shido off guard, Shido would find himself stuck and unable to move, trapped inside of a bubble-like dome. He tried his best to run out of it, but he couldn't. He watched from the sky as Origami would rain down, firing missiles towards Kotori. The people running and fleeing in terror as destruction reigned all around. Origami looking down upon Kotori, and Kotori looking back up to face her. Kotori would admonish Origami for doing something so foolish. Attacking a civilian area with something as dangerous as that from the AST, it was as if she didn't care at all about the loss of innocent life. However, that very statement pissed off Origami even further. Seeing the person who had caused so much pain and destruction talk about the loss of innocence, it was almost hypocritical. Shido would yell for Origami to stop, but she had no intentions on doing so. And with no choice, Kotori, against her better judgment, would transform into her spirit state as the two began fighting. Shido would hear Dr. Wells on his earpiece, getting a good view of the situation. "I don't know what to do, Doctor. I'm stuck inside of this barrier and I can't get out." "Calm down, Shido. Listen, there is a way for you to get out, but you're going to have to focus. I believe you might have the ability to phase." "Phase?" "Yes. By vibrating your molecules at a super speed, you should be able to pass through the barrier." "But is that even possible?" "It should be, but you're going to have to stay focused, Shido. If you lose it for even a second, your body will disintegrate into pieces. and we're dealing with a powerful force field. Chances are your atoms will be scattered to the wind. Shido would gulp nervously at the thought. To attempt something like this, to try to phase his body, it would be very risky, but it was his only way of escape. The doctor would talk him through it, telling him that he had to stay focused on one goal or task, the task of getting out of the barrier. Shido would close his eyes as he focused the speed within his body. He had to focus it down to the very cells. As he held up his hand, he saw it vibrating, blurring. Shido would touch the force field. His fingertips would get out before immediately a shock would run through his system as he retreated his hand back in an instant, recoiling in pain. You almost had it, Shido. Again, you have to stay focused. If you let yourself be lost in thought for even a moment, it's all over. Focus on one task, one thing you need to do now. Why you have to phase. As Shido would close his eyes, he would stay true to his focusing. There was only one reason he had to get out, to save Kotori and Origami. Focusing on that task, Shido would pass his hand through the force field once again. Slowly but surely, he would step out until once completely removed from the barrier. Once he was free, he would don his costume and he would go racing. There was falling debris and civilians everywhere. First, he had to get them out. Quickly, he would move them to the edge of the park where they'd be safe as he went back towards the fighting, as Kotori battled against Origami, the two not being able to gain an advantage over the other. However, before two of their attacks could hit, Shido would rush in, pushing them both out of the way. As the two girls staggered back to their feet, Origami would look up to see the scarlet speedster. Shido, what are you doing? Get out of the way. This is between me and Ifrit. You're not fighting Ifrit. You're harming Kotori. And Kotori, you have to stop this. You have to get the spirit under control. I'm trying, but I can't. You have to, or else people really are going to die. I won't let that happen, Shido. Step out of the way. I'm gonna kill her. Before Origami could fire another shot, she would be stopped by Yoshino, as well as Toka. Toka pulling out her blade and looking rather disappointed at Origami. Toka. Human. It seems you're always causing trouble now, aren't you? This has nothing to do with you. Get out of the way. I won't. Truthfully, I don't care much for any humans at all. But I must say, I've taken quite a liking to you over a bit. And for someone who claims to fight for the peace, you seem to cause a lot of destruction. Look around you. All of this to try to kill one person? Is all of this wanton murder truly necessary? Wanton murder? You spirits! All you do is murder! All you cause is destruction to everyone and everything around you! You're right. I can't say that our actions are always just or understandable. But know that we do not come here with the wrong intentions. Your intentions mean nothing! The intentions save my parents? Huh? It didn't stop them from being killed in cold blood? They were vaporized right in front of me. But does anyone seem to care? No. So why? Why should I have to forgive? Why should I have to be the bigger person? Because the pain that you felt. You're only dishing it out to others. Ifrit and Kotori are two different people. Punish Ifrit if you must, but punishing Kotori is wrong. Kotori is innocent in all of this, and you know it. Not to mention, she is Shido's precious family. The same way that you lost yours in front of you. Is that not what you just tried to do to Shido? You trapped him in a barrier to try to make him feel powerless, to stop him from getting involved. And you were prepared to kill his sister right in front of him. Tell me, assuming you get your way and you kill Ifrit and Kotori, what should your punishment be? Should you be allowed to live? Or should vengeance be taken on your head? Maybe it would be for the best. Since you have no other family, you'd have no one to mourn you, no one to seek vengeance. Is that just? No, it's not. And you know something? Shido would never seek vengeance on you, even if you did harm Kotori. As much as he may hate you, as much as he might resent you, he would never seek vengeance upon you. Do you know why? Because that is just how much of a kind heart he has. He is a good soul. I do not fully understand him, but even still, I would never allow such pain. And if you cause him that kind of pain, you will have me to deal with. In the meanwhile, Shido would hold Kotori in his arms as she felt the power overwhelming her. She wasn't sure of how long she could hold on, but Shido knew that there was only one way to help her. As he pulled her close, he would give her a kiss, and in doing so, the pressure of her excess spirit power would be taken away. Ifrit's pressure would disappear from Kotori immediately as it entered into himself. Shido felt an overwhelming force, a sense of power, welling within him. As he helped Kotori to her feet, he would also throw a jacket on her real quick because apparently every time you seal away spirit powers, the clothes seem to come off for some ungodly reason. Kotori would look to her brother and thank him, Shido promising that he'd always look after her. As for Origami, Shido would approach her as he told Toka and Yoshino to stand aside. Origami looked up to Shido as Shido kneeled before her. Well, go ahead. What? I've sealed Ifrit into myself. If you want your revenge, then take it. You can't be... But I am. If this is going to be what puts you at ease and gives you peace of mind, then go ahead. Toka and Yoshino would protest. However, Shido would tell them to stay back. This was Origami's decision. If she truly wanted her revenge against Ifrit, she was gonna have to kill him. Of course, Origami didn't want it to end this way. She loved Shido. She never wanted to harm him. But at the same time, there was also her revenge. But from her scanners, it showed Ifrit's signature was no longer within Kotori. It was only within Shido now. It meant that it was true. Shido did contain Ifrit. But what could she do now? Was she really going to take her revenge? Or, by letting Shido live, would she also be forgiving the spirit that killed her parents? She wasn't sure. However, Shido wouldn't have too long, as immediately more shots would be fired, as a multitude of AST squadrons would be surrounding him. Origami would speak through the intercoms asking what was going on. A lieutenant of the AST would explain that the multiple signatures within Shido, they weren't something that could be ignored any longer. The mission for the AST had changed. Whoever the Scarlet Speedster was, he was to be brought in immediately. Origami couldn't believe it. The AST had now set their sights on Shido. Shido would tell Toka and Yoshino to take Origami and run, as the AST would try to corner him. Shido would attempt to outrun them. However, with multiple AST soldiers, they could make a stronger barrier, one that Shido couldn't easily break through or escape, as well as using a high-pressure sonic gun that would disrupt his thinking, as well as busting an eardrum. Shido would fall to the ground. And, to make matters worse, that ice gun that Snart had made, it was rather useful for dealing with Shido's speed. They had modified it and added it to their weapons, believing that it would give them the edge they needed to capture him. Shido knew this was bad, and he figured if he were going to go out, the best thing he could do was hold them off to allow others to escape. Although, before he had a chance, a blur of yellow would appear, running through and destroying the barrier. The members of the AST had no idea what was going on, as a flash of yellow would rush around, attacking and defeating them all swiftly. As they were all on the ground, the commander would look up to see the blur standing before her. The yellow speedster would take his hand and stick it through her heart, killing her instantly. Shido would yell for it to stop, as the yellow speedster went through and killed the entire platoon of ASTs. That's unfortunate, but I can't have you getting in my way. I still need him alive, and I need him to grow. So please, allow me to take your life. Before he could continue, Shido would rush and give him a shoulder check in the back. However, the speedster, instead of falling to the ground, would just disappear before reappearing behind him. Now, Flash. No need to be so impatient. You... Who the hell are you? I'm a lot of things. But there's no need to be in such a rush, Shido. We can take our time. How do you know my name? I know a lot about you. And I know that like every annoying speedster I have ever met, you are probably going to be one that sticks a pain in my ass. But no matter. In the end, it's all irrelevant. But let me leave you with one thing. Before Shido knew what hit him, he would find himself being attacked and beaten, laying on the ground as the yellow blur stood above him. Let me make this perfectly clear for you, Shido. It does not matter how fast you get. In the end, you will never be able to beat me. But that's not your reason. That's not why I'm allowing you to live. I'm allowing you to live for one reason only. Because I want you to get better. I need you to get better. I can't get back home if you don't. So please improve. Get faster. Get stronger. Seal those spirits and do your job and become a true hero. Because that's when I'm gonna take it all from you. Catch me if you can. In an instant, the yellow speedster would be gone, and Shido would be left alone. A short while later, everyone would be recovering in Ratasker. For Shido, he had spoken to Dr. Wells in great length. The doctor had seen everything on footage, but he had no way of knowing who this yellow speedster was. Judging from his height and size, he were an older individual, and it seemed as though his speed outmatched Shido in every way. Of course, Shido was left now with more questions than answers. Who was the yellow speedster, and just how was he going to stop him? All that death and destruction, it couldn't go unpunished. But at the same time, Shido knew he was going to have to improve. He was going to have to get better if they were even going to stand a chance of stopping him. Kotori would recover as well. As she went to visit Shido, she thanked him for his help to help seal away her power. Shido would smile. Granted, everything hadn't gone exactly as he had hoped, but still, knowing that she was alright, that his friends were safe, that was enough for him for now. He knew that he'd have to get stronger. He'd have to get better to overcome everything that was in front of him. Overcoming the AST, overcoming whoever it was that lurked in the shadows, overcoming the spirits, and overcoming this mysterious speedster. In the meantime, another force was preparing to make their move. The leader of DEM. He had been watching some footage himself, and now he was also intrigued. Truly remarkable, isn't it, Ellen? Yes, Mr. Ellicott. It seems as though there are now 2 speedsters. Yes, 2 speedsters. 1 red and 1 yellow. This does open a whole new list of possibilities. How would you like to handle the situation, Mr. Ellicott? For now, we'll just monitor Yellow. He seems a lot more violent for my liking. Not that I don't doubt that we could handle him if the time came, but I'd like to not lose any unnecessary force. However, the red, that does pique my interest. Shido Itsuka. Tell me, have you managed to recruit them? Yes, there are a few that we can pick from. Ellen would hand Ellicott a file that contained a list of individuals with unique sets of skills. As you commanded, your very own rogues gallery. Ah yes, so many to choose from. So many powers, so many abilities. You've even gone all the way out to Australia. We had to find the best, sir. But may I ask, what exactly is your goal? I'd like to bring Shido in, see what he's capable of, see if he could be the one. I need individuals that might be capable of matching him. And these will do just fine. After all, there's nothing better than hunting season. I understand. So, who shall we put out a call to? Let's go with the wizard. This concludes Data Live Flash in Time. What if Shido was the Flash? Season 1, Part 4, the Season 1 finale. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcasting that has to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned for next week's video as we continue Naruto Polaris Shippuden. What if Hanabi Hyuga was born first? Part 20. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.